Hi, I'm Mark Bunker, and as many of you know, I'm running for Clearwater City Council. Well, it turns out that many Scientologists know that too, and tonight at one of the candidates' forum held by the Clearwater Neighborhood Coalition, there was a crowd of maybe 5 to 7 Scientologists who attended, it seems specifically to heckle me and disrupt the affair. It was an interesting experience. I haven't seen them do this for 20 years now. They used to come and try to make a scene at like a cult conference that Bob Minton would speak at. They would always try to disrupt. Never wanted to have a conversation or maybe come up and answer a few questions. But that's what happened tonight, a lot of disruptions. I was the first to talk, and I was giving my opening statement. We were given 2 minutes to make our opening statement. And mine was cut short by at least half, because I gave a little biographical background on myself. And then I talked about how I moved here in Clearwater in 2000 to take on the biggest bully I've ever encountered, the Church of Scientology. And as soon as I said that word, bigot, hater, all sorts of shouts came from this small crowd in the back of the room. And it did startle me a little bit at the beginning. It did make it impossible for me to give my whole statement because much of it was taken up by, trying to deal with them and saying I'd be happy to talk with you afterwards. So that's how it started off. The next person to speak was another candidate who's running for my seat, seat 2, Eliseo Santana. Oddly enough, he had a small nuclear following in the room that applauded enthusiastically every time he talked. And Eliseo, who has never answered a question about Scientology, he's always tried to skate in the past on that. He always gets up and to start whatever question he's given. He'll always say, "I'm Eliseo Santana running for seat 2." And it became kind of a running joke through the whole thing. And toward the end, I started introducing him. And now, Mr. Santana. Because people were, as soon as he'd say his name, people in the crowd were shouting out, "Santana!" And I started doing that as well to join in on the fun. But then later in the evening, I was answering a question about downtown redevelopment and how Scientology has been a problem driving business away, and we need to find a way to counter that as a city. And it's something that, people since 1975 have been saying, I don't want to go down there because of the presence of Scientology. Nobody else will talk about it, which is why I'm in the race, because I think it's important for us to have somebody on the council who understands Scientology and is not afraid of them. All the other candidates, I'm sorry to say, don't want to deal with it, just like all the other elected officials we've had since the early 80s at least. And I feel if I can show I'm not afraid, it can lead other people to say, yeah, maybe we can address this. Maybe we should try to be using a different approach to Scientology. Well, of course, they shouted me down before I had a chance to say much of anything and took away a lot of my time again there. A couple of them were bounced out probably by midway through it. But at least 5 people stayed the distance, almost. At any rate, they were saying that I'm filled with hate. And then when I was done with my answer, the next person to get up was Eliseo Santana. And it really shocked me that he took this opportunity to denounce me and actually say, we don't need someone whose heart is full of hate on the council who's treating this like a reality show. He had mentioned reality show earlier in the evening. I thought, what the heck is he talking about? Oh, he was talking about me. So I was really disappointed to see this because I liked Alicio. I always tried to be friendly with him. And then as other people were giving their answers to the same question, I think there were 5 of us all together, and then it came back to me. As the others were talking, I looked down at his notes, and he had scrawled out notes for most of the questions, but I looked at the paper he was using for some of the notes. He had a copy of Scientology's injunction that he had been writing on the back of, and then he flipped it over to talk about me having a heart full of hate. I thought, well, isn't that interesting? Scientology's got a copy of the injunction in his hand. Now, so next time I had a chance to talk, I tried to address that. I snatched it out right from under his hand as he was writing a note on it and held it up and said that this was interesting, that Alicio would have this. Again, bigotry, hatred shouted from the crowd. But I understood now more why those particular people had been hooraying for everything Alicio said. And they, and the moderator said, okay, this isn't specifically the question that we asked, so I saved the rest of it for my closing statement. But I told Alicio in the forum there on stage that I was disappointed that he would do something like this. I said I don't think that you're in their pocket, and I don't think anything bad of you, but I'm really surprised that you feel this way, and I am not full of hate. And in my closing arguments, I tried to explain why I do this by comparing it's not religious bigotry to say that Catholic priests shouldn't be molesting children. That's not an attack on faith. That's humanity. That's what we should all agree on. And back when this all flared up again 10 years or so ago in Boston, half the congregation was inside praying. The other half were outside protesting. Both of them felt deeply about their religion and their faith. It wasn't, one side's right, one side's wrong. And that's the way I feel about Scientology, too. There are people who fight viciously to shut down anything that they consider in theta or slander against Scientology, because L. Ron Hubbard, as I explained earlier in the evening, teaches anyone who attacks Scientology is a criminal. So they think that I'm a criminal. They think I'm out there to try to harm Scientology when I'm not trying to take it away from anyone. I'm trying to say to Scientology, listen, if you shape up, if you reform, if you stop disconnection, stop all of these abuses, you might be able to actually get the, you actually may be the nice neighbor that you pretend to be. Anyway, it was quite an explosive evening. And luckily the Tampa Bay Times was there, so I imagine they'll be writing a story about it at some point. And there was Kelly Kelly, a woman in the audience whose name is really Kelly Kelly. Her first name is Kelly. She married somebody named Mr. Kelly. So, Kelly Kelly was in the Clearwater Academy not training class, the Clearwater 101 series of 10-week courses where you get to meet the department heads and all that. So I knew Kelly Kelly from there. I hope she posts the whole thing. I hope there aren't things edited out of it. Now, I don't know if that would be the case or not, but I would sure love to see how it played out on tape. Anyway, fascinating encounter. And I imagine much more of these forums going forward are going to be filled with things like this. Again, I'm happy to talk to any Scientologist at any time. I'm happy to have a debate with them or answer their questions openly in a forum. Now, this one tonight was not set up for time to permit that. But anytime they want to, I'll sit down. If Pat Hardy, the PR lady, wants to sit down and come be a celebrity on Dining with the SPs, we can change the name to Dining with the Candidate at that point, so she doesn't have to worry about being labeled an SP. I'm always willing to talk. But the sad thing is, Scientologists aren't. They're not allowed to. Always attack, never defend. Well, I just wanted to share this experience with you, and hopefully we'll all be able to see the incident in question. And I'm looking to see how this plays out in the media, too. It's crazy. And this may be a crazy quest, but I'm doing it for the right reason. I cared about Clearwater long before I moved here. And I would like to see if I can make a difference in the city, not just about Scientology, but to reach out to everyone in the community and be an advocate and a champion for them. People over power, and cutting bullies down to size. That's part of my platform. So thanks for listening, and I'm sure I'll see you soon. And I'm sure I'll see more Scientologists soon on the campaign trail. Until next time, don't forget, if you live in Clearwater, vote March 17th, Mark Bunker for seat 2 on the Clearwater City Council. Bye.